We're back again with more Reddit stories that will blow your mind. And these ones are rather work-related. So I brought two guests here who do actual work here at Smosh, Spencer and Tommy.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you for being here. I do this. I get to just sit here and read Reddit stories. You guys have to edit and do stuff and have meetings, which I'm invited to.
Yeah. I see you back in that little chair.
Yeah, I see it in the back corner.
Shane, have you ever done jobs outside of acting, like before you were an actor?
No. I am very lucky to say that I started acting when I started auditioning when I was 13.
Wow.
And, when you're doing that as a teen, I wasn't working constantly, but I was also taking classes. I was in high school still. And then I've been fortunate enough, I lily padded from job that just paid my rent long enough that literally I would get my bank account down to being like, I need to go work. My plan was, and I was very close to this before I booked Smosh, of I was gonna go work at Starbucks because they had a program that would pay for ASU online if you logged a certain amount of hours every week. So I had a whole plan, but this became my job. So I would say Smosh is actually the closest. This is the most normal job I've ever worked, because working on sets, otherwise I'm purely just acting. You do nothing else. Here I actually do other things sometimes.
Shane be working.
You do be working.
Yeah, but it's still a silly job.
It's
a silly job. And I do far less of the grueling work than everyone else in this room.
I mean, I work, but it's also a silly job.
Right, but you guys have to do you do a lot more of the technical, a lot of the just really the not fun parts of the silly job.
That's true. I'll say
That's true.
Yeah,
That
I'll say that it's less fun than this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
This is the core.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, this is the most fun part.
Yeah, this is dope. So these encompass all forms of jobs. Some are corporate, some are more retail, service types of jobs. The whole gamut, if you will. But all of them are weird or
so
bad.
excited. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm so excited.
Let's find out. First story. Am I the asshole for getting a job where my husband works? Uh-oh. Hi all, my husband started his job at a restaurant just a few months back. He's told me about all of his coworkers and how it's a friendly environment. I enjoy hearing his stories, but have been really concerned about one of his coworkers.
No.
Apparently, she serves the same time he busses, and he's talked about how nice she is.
serves, she busses.
And how they...
Already, working in a restaurant together is nightmare.
Yeah,
horrible.
no. My brother met his wife at a restaurant, but they were working there at the same time, and then...
I know it's like a theater department back there. They're all f***ing each other.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's always drama, especially if they're
Yeah.
related.
No, it sounds chaotic. Apparently, she serves the same time he busses, and he's talked about how nice she is, and how anytime bus or buses is...
Serving and busing together, it's something.
So he's busing? No.
Work.
Sexual style.
Okay. We've had problems with infidelity in the past on his half, so I really didn't like how he was talking about her. So about a week ago, I applied to work at the same place to be a waitress. During the interview, we did briefly mention my husband and how I could be scheduled to work alongside him. The owner is pretty big on families, it seems. I just started today. They started with training and teaching where everything was. Where I may be the asshole is I never told my husband any of this. So me being there today absolutely made him livid. He didn't speak to me unless he was told to, and the coworker he always talked about did the same. I like being a waitress. I've done it before, but his reaction has been so over the top. His and his coworkers' reactions have made me even more suspicious, and now I'm wondering if I should even trust him at all.
I think you kind of lose. This might be problematic. I'm starting right up. I think you kind of lose a lot of your rights in a relationship once you cheat.
Well, certainly, once you do that, trust is fucking gone.
Yeah.
And you need to go to therapy, and you need to. What I've heard is that relationship's over, and you need to start a new one.
Yeah,
exactly.
So clearly, they're not past him cheating before. So of course she doesn't trust him because he did that. And it does sound, the fact that the coworker that he talks about is also being weird towards her, it's like, he's probably doing that.
And she quit being a lawyer to go work at a restaurant. No, I'm making that up.
I was like, where was that?
I'm making that up. I just
Sorry, Your Honor, I need to go.
I'm just like, what, was she just waiting around for this job? Like what?
This just sounds like a bad relationship.
She's not.
bad
Yeah,
relationship.
she's not the asshole. She's just kind of. She's a little silly.
Stupid.
She's a little silly.
No, yeah.
Like, Kiana, what did you say to me earlier? Like, girl,
Girl, get up.
yeah, girl, get up. It means like, hey, like, leave him.
Yeah, get up and
Like,
get out.
get up and
Get
like,
up and get out.
like, make some moves to like leave this guy because like clearly he's like, if he's unfaithful once, fool me once.
There's a comment that I fully agree with. Dude is either cheating on her or working up to it, but this is nuts. If your spouse is a shitty, cheating asshole, just leave them. You're not going to babysit and stalk them into being a good person.
That's
Exactly.
so fair.
Exactly. It's like this is a lost cause.
Yeah.
Admit it, it's a lost cause and go.
And now you're stuck working.
Now you're working at Olive Garden with your husband?
I wish they said the name of the restaurant.
Well, because
so
the owner is pretty big on families.
Okay, she
It
hinted
seems.
it. She Easter egged it.
So she's into
Yeah.
it. How would you feel if you were just a coworker here? Look, and like I said, I never worked a service job. If I was just a random coworker, not any part of this triangle, I'd be stoked. This is so fun.
I was gonna say this is the most exciting
fun.
shit of my life.
This sounds so fun. Oh, is it awful?
Oh my God. It's hard enough to be like, because I waited tables at a Italian restaurant in Orlando where it was like,
Carrabba's?
it was not.
You wish.
I fucking wish. And like everyone was related. They were either like husband and wife or they were brothers, and it was always like, they're like, I don't fucking. And so you're already dealing with like my pastas, and you're like, "Nyah." And so you're just doing all this shit, and then you go back to where you're supposed to like go do the job part, and then they're all like, if there's drama on top of the drama of already being in a way, you're gonna listen. There's people at this restaurant crying in the walk-in freezer. Aww. Guaranteed.
And the tears are just freezing immediately.
Yeah. Also, great place to cry.
Yeah, I bet it is.
It is.
I haven't seen The Bear, but I imagine that this is what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that show. All right, next one. This comes from a subreddit, Coworker Stories.
Ooh.
Got a new one. All right. At work, we can be pretty immature, laughing at dumb things, farting while someone is on the phone, being stupid, and so on. I kind of have been over it lately. I like the job, but I'm tired of the playing around. When a dude farts, I don't bat an eye. When they make a dumb joke, I don't really laugh or acknowledge it. But now I'm the bad guy at work, and I apparently have an attitude because I don't laugh at farts. Any advice? Kimmy wrote down, Smosh, is that you? Okay, Kimmy, come on. This is a relatable story because we are very silly here.
Yes.
We are
I
silly
actually think
goofy.
though, no, we're silly.
We're silly.
But what
silly
is
for
our
sure.
job?
I know.
No.
It's our job, we gotta be silly.
But there are I think there are limits, and like there is it's about reading the room.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, because if you're silly all the time, it's exhausting.
It's so
for sure.
exhausting.
Like there are times, like if someone I'm not above laughing at a fart.
No.
But I'm saying like if I'm trying to get some real work done and someone comes up and farts, like, okay, well now I'm thinking that's really funny. Like, I'm like, unfortunately, this is really funny.
Spencer. Then you just leave.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's a time for work and a time for farts. I mean, we used to do this bit, and I hated it, and it was where we would sing "Happy Birthday"
In every meeting.
I say we. I would leave.
I
would
was
use
that
that.
I
also
hated it
leave
too.
as quick as possible.
But we would do it anytime anyone entered the meeting room. We would start singing Happy
And this is
Birthday.
on Zoom. This was pandemic. This is Zoom. So everyone's not synced up because you can't be perfectly synced up. So it's just a cacophony of. It was just really
It was pretty
bad.
awful. It was pretty awful.
It was so annoying.
In the hardest time in like recent history, we were doing that to ourselves.
I have a solution for this.
Yeah?
Come up with a new joke.
Yeah.
Shit your fucking pants.
Yeah. Then you get to go home.
Comedy is about escalation, and what's
Exactly.
the ultimate escalation?
In your pants.
Shitting your pants. Okay, let's just move on because that one's very silly. We've decided she should shit her pants. We've decided. Okay, here we go. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that I'm not taking off of work to be present at our daughter's birth?
Oh. Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
No.
Let him cook.
I work as an OBGYN. Well,
Okay.
Is he literally going to be the one?
no, I'm just kidding. Okay, no, he's probably a sim pilot or something. Okay. Okay, here we go. My daughter is expected to be born sometime this month, so I've been picking up extra work in order to have more money for when the baby came. Yesterday, I came home and my wife asked me when I would be taking off of work so I could be bedside. I told her that I couldn't because there was a big project coming up and that they needed me. My boss is also married to the sister of one of my wife's brother's friends.
Totally, dude.
And they've all known each other for a long time. When I got out of the shower, my wife told me that she called my boss and that he was giving me as much time off as I needed with pay. Then she says, "You told me that there was a project and that they needed you, but I was just told that you didn't even ask for any time off. In fact, you asked for more work." I got upset, for one, and I told her this when I was first offered the job as well, that I don't want her using her friendship with my boss to get me any special treatment. Two, I think it's disrespectful that she overruled my decision to work by going over my head. Instead of talking to me and having me call, if I decided to take time off, that is, and she decided by herself that I was going to take time off and called the boss on my behalf. Imagine you decide to do something at work and your spouse calls your boss and tells them not to let you do it. How would you feel? She apologized about calling, but was still mad about why I never asked for time off. I explained to her that I wanted to work for extra money to have after the birth, and plus the baby wouldn't even remember me being there or not.
So true.
So true, man. You fucking got this, dude.
Dude, the kid's he just not gonna remember the first couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just work for those few years.
yeah.
He's not going to remember the first couple years either. She burst into tears and said that she wanted me to be there. And I felt bad and said I would try to be there if I could. And everything was fine until this morning when I was getting ready for work. And she said, "You're still going to work?" I said, "Yes." She asked, "What if the baby starts to come?" I said that her mom will be here and that I will try to rush over to the hospital as fast as I could. She said, "Fine, go. I don't care anymore," with an attitude, and I left. I just got a text from her mom saying, "Shame on you," and my mom saying, "I'm disappointed. I thought I raised you better than this." And a text from other people's moms. Everyone's moms started texting me.
Shane's mom?
I don't get what the big deal is. Why is everyone making such a big deal about me not being at bedside? How many of you remember your parents being bedside? I want to take time off after the baby is born so I could bond with her. It doesn't make sense to take time off before then. I know my wife wants me to be there, but we're always together. Am I the asshole, or is my wife not thinking straight? I try to be gentle with her because I know it's mostly her out-of-control hormones talking. But this is ridiculous. Woo!
Oh my
He had to sprinkle that in at the end.
Where to begin?
He had to just do that.
Yeah.
I got a little lost when it was about the boss and the friend, and I started glazing over.
The wife knows the boss.
Yeah, if I can nitpick when he's like, "I really don't want to be getting special treatment at work," I'm like, okay.
You're gonna.
Yeah.
Absolutely everyone would take
It's
that. This is ridiculous. Because he keeps making it about how it's like the baby's not gonna remember. It's like, yeah, but your fucking
But your wife
will.
is pregnant and doing a crazy thing, which is birth.
Obviously, as most people know, like childbirth is a dangerous and obviously super, super intense process. It's probably the most painful thing his wife is going to go through in her life, and like emotionally taxing everything. And he's like, "Yeah, you got it, babe. You got it, babe. I'm gonna go work because I like it and I need money." He lied about a project. He's just an asshole. Just a bad guy.
If they were like desperate for money, if they were like, "We're f***ed, honey, I've got to work until the last month," then that's something. But he's just like,
yeah, if it was a situation where he had a nightmare job and a nightmare boss who's like, "We're gonna fire you if you take time off."
Or if like he communicated like, "Look, this might be a weird perspective, but like, you know, if he was like truly terrified of like being around like childbirth, like that could be an angle, but he doesn't even present anything like that. Like he's just like, I don't really feel like And not that that would be an excuse, like you should, because it's like, it's your partner's, it's like the most significant moment of your relationship.
He's
like,
not offering any sort of legitimate
like support.
Because if he wrote like, I am terrified of being there, or something,
and
but he gave no reasons.
Yeah, and again, not that that would justify it.
Sure, but it would be at least vulnerable and honest.
Yeah, there's no vulnerability, there's no honesty, and there's nothing in his writing that makes me believe that he cares about his wife at all.
No, this guy...
Exactly.
He's trying to... And he's writing this from his perspective, trying to justify...
Yeah.
And this is still how it comes out. Some comments, okay, yeah, the baby won't remember that he wasn't there, but his wife will definitely remember.
Exactly.
Typical asshole guy response. It must be the hormones making her crazy, not the fact that I am a huge piece of shit. Yeah. Yeah, wow.
It's pretty open
Well,
closed case.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's another relationship that needs to end.
Yep,
Yeah.
Get out of there. Our next story, I have heard that Tommy will particularly be fascinated by it. Or, I don't know. But this one's dedicated to you, I guess. So this comes from Best of Redditor Updates and Malicious Compliance. So, okay. Boss didn't believe I have cysts on my ass. Sorry, boss didn't believe I have cysts on my ass.
Pilot cyst?
Pilonidal cysts. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Some backstory, kind of graphic.
Some backstory.
Some backstory.
Oh, baby.
Kind of graphic. Around June of 2022, I started getting this weird pain in my lower back, upper butt area. Kind of right where the seam of your cheeks are.
Yep.
I thought it was because I tend to slouch in my gaming chair and sit on my tailbone. I shouldn't, bad posture, I know. Anyway, I thought it was just sore from that, and I fixed my posture a little bit and took extra care in the shower and cleaning that area, but the pain just kept getting worse. Fast forward a few months and it never stopped. It turned from pain to itchy to pain to nothing at some points. About 2 months ago from writing this, I decided to look in the mirror and see what it was. I couldn't see, so I had to ask my girlfriend to look, LMAO. It was embarrassing to spread my ass cheeks for her, don't get me wrong, lol. When I did though, she noticed what looked like a little hole. Maybe about the size of a pea. And when I say hole, yes, I mean like
buttholes?
And when I say hole, yes, I mean like indented into my skin kind of hole. I won't get more graphic than that, but yes, it acts just like a normal zit, pops, pus, etc. I schedule a doctor's appointment and have them take a look. It's a pilonidal cyst. Actually, not just one, but there are 5.
Jesus Christ.
One big one and 4 other small ones. And with cysts, the only way to get rid of them, and surgically.
Gotta scoop
so
them
I
out.
scheduled my surgery. I go in about 2 weeks from the time this posts. Wish me luck. Throughout this time, I had to take a few days off work for doctor's appointments and basically told my boss it's just for a routine appointment. I didn't want to scare them with a, hey, I might be off work for X amount of weeks just yet. When I got the news I needed surgery, that is when I told him. Now, I do a labor-intensive job in a factory, a lot of moving, lifting, etc., and I'm rather essential in my job. I know how to do everything there, and it will suck losing me for 2 weeks. For whatever reason, my boss doesn't believe me to have anything wrong with me and thinks I am just trying to get out of work. Because yeah, who doesn't love 2 weeks of unpaid vacation time? I get home that day and take my clothes off and put my phone on the bathroom counter on a timer. Turn around and spread my ass cheeks and camera click sounds. You can probably see what is going. What this is where you can probably see.
Send the whole pic. He showed whole.
Turn around, spread my ass cheeks, and camera click sound. You can probably see where this is going. I upload the picture to my computer and print it. I upload
What a boomer.
I upload the picture to my computer and print it off, in black and white of course, and place it into a spare manila folder. Keep in mind, you can't see much below where I wanted him to see because I'm not trying to get fired or anything. I cropped around where I needed to. The next day, I bring in the folder, which also has my letter of recommendation from my doctor for surgery. My surgery and at the very back, the last picture he will see is, in all of its glory, my hairy, white ass, LMAO. My boss avoided me for a while after I showed him the pictures. However, since then, he has actually not said a word about it and is treating me great. So yeah, well, that seemed to work.
He probably didn't have to include the picture.
He didn't need to do that.
Yeah, all he needs is a doctor. But
Doctor
you know
help.
what? I think for him not believing him,
Gotta
he
show
gave him the
it.
proof. He did give him the proof. There's not much to say, I feel
There's
like.
not much to say, and I'm very triggered. He got those cysts because of his bad posture. Because if you mash that area up and you got a hairy little butt seam,
Oh, really?
then the hairs go back inside and they create those little cysts.
No way. I should be
Science
careful.
knowledge. This is tangential, but my mom had to get her gallbladder sucked out of her. You know how you can do that now? They just like take
What?
The whole...
No?
Yeah.
You can't just say a sentence like that.
No, it's true. So it's like if you like all those like little organs that are like fine, like they can make a tiny little hole like in your tummy and they can like go and then go. So my dad was like, I need to take off work because my wife is going like under and getting like surgery, and they're like, we're not gonna do that or whatever. And so he took the time off without it being, paid or whatever. And my dad got like a chicken liver and he put it in a bag and he showed up to work and he's like, here's her gallbladder. Can I get paid for it? Psycho behavior. Love you, Dad, so much.
That's fucking awesome.
That explains so much.
It just feels very similar to.
Then he grabbed it out of the bag and was like, no, 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 no.
Yeah. I mean, iconic for this guy to print this picture off. Like, that's
Yeah,
cool.
he really, he showed his whole ass. He really bared it all. Okay, there's an update. The ending was that my boss avoided me for a while after I showed him the pictures. However, since then, he has actually not said a word about it and is treating me great. I had my surgery today. It went well. I am home and recovering. I was only nervous because I hate needles, IV needle, but it went smooth. My nurse was awesome. I want to thank everyone for the support that they have given me on my previous upload. And I also had some people reach out to me with them having the same problem. Thank you for that. It made me feel less self-conscious about it. Well, that's great.
I think it's a very common thing, isn't it? Is that what you
common.
learned?
It's not very common, but it's common.
Yeah,
it can happen.
I think just like once you hear of it happening once, you begin to like see way more of it.
See patterns.
See patterns everywhere.
Yeah. Good news for the guy. Once you get that surgery, that whole area is all scar tissue. It's not going to happen again, baby.
Oh,
That's nice.
neat. Okay, cool.
How's the recovery is kind of a pain in the I almost said a pain in the ass, but like literally like the recovery's like it sucks, right?
Yeah. I don't. It's too graphic. But yeah, you got to just deal with an open situation
wounds.
for like a month and a half.
I'm loving that it's like, he bends over and spreads his cheeks for his girlfriend, and she's like, there's like a hole here. Like, what? Oh my God. That's like some Johnny Bravo logic. Yeah. What? There's a hole there. Oh man, I'm dying. Okay, moving on. Okay, here we go.
Think butt plugs come in a 2-pack? Okay.
Not that one, babe.
Okay, go on.
His bioport.
Okay. Am I the asshole for reporting my coworker to HR? I, a 37-year-old man, have recently found myself in a situation because I reported my coworker, a 20s female, to HR. A year ago, she started working for our company. She was withdrawn, shy, and tended to stick to the people that were in her training class. Over the last year, I've been trying to get to know her. Everything was fine until about 3 weeks ago when I heard her speaking to one of my friends, 20s male, about how she doesn't like talking to me. She's saying I'm stalking her while she's at work because I leave my area to talk to her. She gets along fine with him, but thinks it's weird that a married man is giving her compliments and keeps walking into her department to talk to her. Earlier this week, she was talking to that same friend about tea. I'm also a tea drinker, so I asked if she likes oolong, Earl Grey, breakfast tea, etc. She kept saying no, then caught an attitude with me when I responded to her last no with, I guess you only drink handcrafted artisan tea. She responded by saying maybe I should have asked what kind of tea she drinks instead of naming random ones. After that, she walked back to her area. The next day, she brought 5 tea bags to my friend so he could try them. I looked at them and said she lied yesterday because one of them was a tea that she said she didn't like the day before. I asked her if she liked it and she said no, too. Her response is why I reported her. It was basically saying you never asked about white tea and calling her a liar is disrespectful, but I know that white tea is the same as oolong tea.
This guy.
I'm just trying to be nice. I reported her to HR for a hostile work environment. It didn't go the way I thought it would,
Yeah,
and now
it
work
never
has signed me
does.
up for a mandatory class on workplace harassment. I know HR talked to her on Tuesday because I was notified on Wednesday that I was required to take the class. I think she lied to HR to get me in trouble. So am I the asshole for reporting her to HR when she is constantly aggressive towards me? F*** you. I knew this was bad when the first line of over the last year I've been trying to get to know her. It's
Right.
just like a weird thing of like
Yeah, he's posting on Reddit about it. This man's a psycho.
I feel bad for her that
He jumped to HR so fucking fast.
Yeah, this is confusing because she said she likes white tea, and he's like, oh, it's the same as oolong tea. I'm not a tea expert, but there's a comment here that says white tea is not the same as oolong tea, dipshit. So hostile work environment is a very serious claim. This is info from like a human resource management type of thing. It is defined as when harassing or discriminatory conduct is so severe and pervasive, it interferes with an individual's ability to perform their job, creates an intimidating, offensive, threatening, or humiliating work environment, or causes a situation where a person's psychological well-being is adversely affected. So, not this.
So not that.
So not this at all. Not, hey, you need to be nice to me when I'm pushing advances on you.
I'm dying to know what compliments he was giving her.
Oh God, I know. It's
He probably thought he was being so slick.
yeah.
If you try and get to know someone and they're not like trying to get to know you back,
Just leave them alone.
you're done.
Yeah,
You're done.
Just leave them alone.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not in your department.
Yeah.
There's also a huge age gap. Like he's 37, she's likely early 20s, but I'm just guessing based on this
assume.
guy.
Look, for the sake of the story, yeah.
For this, yes. Some other comments. I love the thought that he went to HR like, Mom, she lied about tea.
Yeah.
Why have you been trying to get to know her? Have you been complimenting her? It sounds like unless it's about work, you should avoid contacting her, to be honest. And then OP responded, I used to be shy like her, and it was hard for me to go to work every day when I didn't have friends to talk to. I thought I was helping her. Yes, I've complimented her a few times because, like I said, she's withdrawn from most people, and it could be a confidence thing.
He should have been getting her treats. Like various trinkets to kind of put around her. Yeah.
Little doodads and tchotchkes.
I think
I
think that would work.
Little things made out of like wood and string that he finds in the woods.
Like effigies.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like likenesses of her.
You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped.
Yeah.
Also, she doesn't need help
it.
at all.
But I'm just that
Because
logic.
he talks about how she's talking to other people and she's friends with other
She's
people
fine.
at work. She's doing just fine.
She's thriving.
No, he's a creep. All right, moving on. Okay. Coworker did no work, then wanted a job reference from me. Not happening. This is from Petty Revenge.
Respect.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
Years ago, I was part of a programming team. One of the senior team members had been promoted beyond her abilities due to work she'd done some years before on a suite of software tools that everyone in the company was forced to use, despite them being much clumsier to use than most equivalent third-party applications. But that was her claim to fame, getting promoted for her contribution to mediocrity. She somehow felt that this is... Damn!
Us working at Smosh.
She somehow felt that this entitled her to sit in her office with her feet on her desk, reading paperback novels all day, while the rest of us engaged in various programming projects. The company eventually went into a tailspin, and there were multiple rounds of layoffs. Our whole division got wiped out eventually. Some years later, I'm happily employed elsewhere. Ring, ring goes the telephone. Me. Hello, this is Mr. McDonald, Human Resources Guy. Good afternoon, Mr. McDonald. I'm HR Guy with XYZ Company. One of your former coworkers, Miss Novel Reader, has applied for a programming position with XYZ Co. and said you could give her a reference. Me. Oh, did she now? Fascinating.
Jesus Christ.
What would you like to know?
Fascinating.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, monocle top hat.
Yes. Can't wait to f*** her life up, yeah.
Her gallbladder.
How long were you and she in the same department? Me, about 5 years. Guy, great. What can you tell me about Miss Novel Reader's work during that time? Me, well, nothing, I'm afraid. I never actually saw any. Guy, you were in the same department for 5 years and never saw any of her work? Me, in 5 years, I never saw any work from her. Long pause. Guy, does that mean what it sounded like? Me, absolutely. Guy, thank you for your time. Me, don't mention it. Whew!
Wow.
Damn.
I'm just worried about like.
This is from his perspective.
All we have is his word,
Yeah.
and it could be a potential.
Because it also sounds like he was the potential is that he's very jealous of her and like
Yeah.
But
if he's telling the truth,
yeah, because we have no
what
other
can you
people. We have nothing to
Yeah.
work off of.
like, look, let's say we believe him.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Talk that shit. However,
it's possible.
it's possible it's just like a misogynistic, like, think of it,
Yeah.
it's like programming. It's like a mostly male-dominated field.
We have a comment here. Someone says, I smell BS. Just a disgruntled dude who hated working with a woman is more like it. I'm sure your reference wasn't taken seriously. He responded, ha 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 ha. I love working with women. They'll actually talk about something other than sports ball. Nice try, though.
Me. I love working with women.
Actually, you.
Okay.
Weird response.
Weird response.
Makes me trust him less.
He's definitely weird. Look, we've dealt with people writing out their posts in weird ways.
Yeah.
And it does always make me not like them. Look, from his story, with the context we have, do I think what he did was wrong? No. Do I like him? No.
Yeah.
I don't really like him. But that's
Also-
because of the way he wrote this out.
Okay, let's change the story up a little bit.
Okay.
Let's say it was a dude coworker, like,
I think I would still feel overall the same way.
Yeah.
It's just the way he's phrasing all this.
Yeah,
the way
that's-
he like wrote it out like a play.
yeah.
I
Okay,
just-
yeah. No, I didn't like his writing.
Ew.
I didn't like his
He
writing.
wrote it out like a play?
Yeah, he literally wrote like me, him. I'm
No,
just like,
that's corny. Like
he's
clear-
savoring
He's
this way
clearly
too
a
much.
redditor.
Yeah.
Derogatory.
All right. Let's move on. Am I the asshole for eating the last donut before my pregnant coworker could have one?
Look, man.
This is a
Look,
personal
man.
dilemma I have here at Smosh whenever there's donuts or
Yeah.
food or treats, because I am someone who I'm a vacuum. And I will definitely be like, I could take 2 donuts, but is someone else gonna not have
But
a
is someone
donut?
here pregnant?
Yeah.
But is someone pregnant? Okay. I, a 19-year-old man, moved to New York City a couple months ago
grown
and
boy.
found
Yeah,
work
just a
in
little
a.
guy.
I moved to New York City a couple months ago and found work in a small office. My boss brought in a couple boxes of donuts this morning and let us all have some. All in all, there were enough for all of us to have 2, 12 employees and 24 donuts. The pregnant employee ended up not showing 30 minutes into the shift so far. So I had 2 more donuts for a total of 4. And not even 10 minutes later, she came walking in saying her truck broke down. She saw we all had donuts and she asked me if there were any saved for her since our boss let her know she brought donuts. I calmly told her no since I assumed she skipped work.
Calmly.
She got frustrated and said that she had to skip breakfast today. I said, so? I never eat breakfast. She said, this
That's
is...
the most 19-year-old
Yeah,
That
that's
is
thing. to
so...
say.
I don't even eat
Whatever,
breakfast,
dude. I eat like I like 4 dinners.
She said, this is kind of a bigger deal for a pregnant person than it is for some kid. At this point, my boss told me to get to work and gave her uneaten donuts. The boss gave the pregnant woman
Good boss.
her uneaten donuts. My boss called me into her office and said I was being rude. I told her that I thought my coworker was skipping and offered to post here on Reddit for
Hey,
neutral opinions.
I'm gonna go into Lisa's. I'll be like, you want me to post this on Reddit?
I'll post this on
yeah.
Reddit and we'll see
We'll
who's...
settle this.
Yeah, we'll settle it.
She said that, I mean, people would still see you as a jerk in the real world, even if a group of socially awkward kids took your side.
Hell yeah, dude.
She
Hell
kind of ate with that one.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
I wonder how Reddit's gonna respond to that. She thinks everybody on this site is 15 no matter what I say. So
They're different.
So that was the end of our conversation. My coworker let me know she forgave me, but never offered me an apology for her attitude or for dismissing me as some kid. Am I the asshole?
Yeah.
I'm the pregnant woman. If I was pregnant, I would be like, as a pregnant person, this is kind of a big deal to everything.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like you eat my donuts. Like I'm like, as a pregnant person, this
It's
is
a big deal.
This is kind of a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, if I don't have a donut, I'm gonna go into labor if I don't have a donut right now. They're just like, I'm just fucking with you,
show
kid.
is that where like the woman keeps pretending to go into labor to like get out of things?
I don't know.
I think it might be Arrested Development.
That's awesome. So look, I have never eaten more than 2 donuts.
You lying sack of shit.
I have not. I am actually very scared of this type of thing happening, I feel very bad. So there's certainly like, I feel like a waiting rule of like, and 30 minutes is not long enough.
No.
Once the donuts are placed, it's like, it's gotta be a while to come back and be like, okay, I'm gonna.
There was a rule too of the 2 donuts.
Yes.
It's like you got to follow that.
Yeah, if
I would at least be asking other people. I'd be like, hey, do you think I could have these other 2 donuts?
Yeah.
And also, I do think it's fucking crazy that he went and had the 2 extra donuts. Like
The
there's
2 last
there's 2
donuts.
left, and it's like, okay, if anything, I'll take like half of one of these donuts, or I'll take one of the donuts. To take both and have a total of 4 donuts. I know you're 19, and at 19,
You
can
be
just
eating
do
donuts,
it.
dude.
You're just gonna do it.
You're just gonna tank those donuts.
But like, just gonna fucking tank them. Sorry, lady, I had to fucking tank
I had
those
to take
donuts.
those donuts. Sorry.
But I also love like, whatever, I never eat breakfast.
That's
It's so funny.
dude.
No,
That's
you're
so
fine. Like,
19.
I don't do
Yeah.
that.
I don't do that, so you must be.
So you're fine. Everyone's just like me. Have you guys
Yeah,
ever...
with 4 donuts, it's like a chip.
Whatever, I'm saving these for later. Some comments. Wants to be seen as not just some kid, but immediately runs to the internet to absolve him of any wrongdoing and tells his boss what he's doing. Smart. Bonus, you're the asshole to OP for attempting to get us on his side by mentioning his boss insulted Redditors. Everyone insults Redditors, including Redditors.
Right.
It's so true. No one disses Redditors like on Reddit.
It's like Weezer fans.
The comments, it's like Weezer fans. I feel like Weezer fans and Reddit have a
yeah.
big
yeah.
crossover.
Venn diagram's a circle there.
You're the asshole. Never eat the last available donut unless you bought them. Basic workplace etiquette. I've never heard that term. I would never touch the last donut in general just because I'd be scared.
Look, I'm not above taking the last donut.
But you wouldn't eat 4 donuts.
If I had
Right.
eaten 3 and like, people were like, and I'm talking like when here, donuts will last like well into the day.
Absolutely.
And like, if there's like a last donut, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna take it.
yeah.
But yeah, like if it was a fresh, like back at Defy when we would have those donuts and people would come in on Friday, every Friday. Do you remember this at Defy?
Yeah, kind of.
There would be donuts every morning, every Friday morning at Defy, and they would go so fast.
They'd be
And especially
gone.
the blueberry one. And I would always get
Never
in.
had that.
I would always get because you were
it's
late, son of a
gone.
bitch. No, because I would take it. Because I would at least take, or I would always take one there, but there were usually 2 or 3.
Would I be the asshole if I bought a dozen donuts and then I ate them all? Like I bought
That's
donuts,
being-
I bring them, I'm like, and I put on Slack, I send out a message to the whole company like, donuts in the kitchen, and then I eat them all.
That'd be awesome.
Within that time span of us walking to the kitchen,
They're
you're like,
gone.
oh!
And I'm like, ah! All right, here we go. Next one.
So yes, asshole, by the
Yeah,
way.
asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
hungry
But he's
asshole.
also 19, like, frankly,
Frankly, kind of a dumbass.
19-year-old guys. This is very typical. Like, I would never have said it out loud, but I totally at 19 understand the logic of like, so I never eat breakfast.
Right.
I
That's so
totally get
19.
that.
And
Like,
the funniest
it's an asshole thing, but I totally get
The
it.
funniest fucking part of that whole thing is like, do you want me to post this on Reddit?
Like, I love
We'll
that.
get someone with other
And
opinions.
by the way, she totally dissed you guys.
Yeah.
She said you guys fucking suck.
Ergo.
So funny. That's so funny. Okay. Sorry, I deleted all the files you told me to delete. This is malicious compliance. My job was to design and write software prototypes for individual high-value customers. If they liked it well enough, then a real software engineering team would build the real product. Occasionally, I would run the prototype for a few months while the customer evaluated if they wanted to buy the real project. Now, these prototypes are not a lot of code, but they do run with a lot of data. Even compressed, it can be a terabyte or more. Having done this work for years, I've accumulated a small disk farm of past projects, which can be very useful when a customer asks for something just like what we did last year, but with a small change or two. The company resisted buying hard drives for this, but it saved me so much time. I ended up buying 1 or 2 a year myself until I accumulated about 10 of them. Figure over $1,000 worth of external drives. Then the unexpectedly management changes. New management thinks they can replace the old software guy with a cheaper new software grad, and I am laid off, with 2 weeks to train my replacement. Yes, it's blatant age discrimination, but impossible to fight. So I just went for a graceful transition to my
The newer
next
guy
job.
doesn't eat breakfast.
Except I have $1,000 of personal disk drives with old customer data on them. Company insists that no ex-employees may take any company data off premises and all files must be deleted. I don't want to just leave the drives at the company, but they insist I must delete all data before taking them home. So I offer. They can buy them from me, or I will eventually use them for something else, but I can leave the data on them in case someone needs it. Not good enough. New manager insists I must delete all data and all backups before I remove the drives. Okay, that's what I do. 6 months later, I got a series of desperate phone calls. New software grad has been unable to build any new prototypes. Old customers are calling to get old prototypes updated, and new software grad has no idea how to do that. The executive VP is calling to ask what it would take to bring me back to do my old job. Sorry, I've got a new job now. And even if I didn't, I cannot just modify the old prototype because you insisted I delete all old copies of it. If I did want to modify it, I'd first have to recreate it from scratch. The code still exists in their source control, but the data is the heart of the prototypes. And that old series of 6 months apart data we collected is gone for good, no matter what. Sorry, you screwed yourselves exactly like I told you would happen. Hope whatever you saved by hiring a new grad to replace an actually experienced programmer was worth it. Damn.
That was rough.
That's rough.
That's real rough. I'm not too savvy on like tech stuff, but I know from
It's
stuff
all
here.
it's all in the data and code.
Like just
bro.
backups of things and stuff, and once you lose it, it's like it's a
yeah.
huge
Oh
deal.
yeah. I mean that's like
I remember when Defy went under.
Yeah.
That was the biggest deal. That we had a ton of stuff on drives, and that was like, we need to get that.
Right.
Like that was the only thing we were focused on for like a month or two. So it's shocking that this company clearly was
no
like
data
lacking.
is like someone asked me the other day like what would you save in your house like besides your cats obviously like if there were a fire, and to me it was like my computer, like my laptop or my hard drives, because that's like data and that's like I can't replace a lot of that.
Right. That
know,
is
it's like
the modern photo book.
It's like pictures. It's also like footage from every video I've ever shot.
Right, right.
It's like it's memories and it's it's data. Like
Right.
everything else is things. It's
This guy followed the rules.
Yeah, he did his
He
thing.
did exactly what
I mean,
they said to
he
him.
screwed over his replacement, which that's the only thing that's
Yeah.
Did he?
I mean,
Yeah.
the guy
the
like
replacement just got hired. Like
Right.
but well
Well, he didn't
sort
like
of. No, he
intentionally.
didn't.
he didn't
yeah.
screw him
didn't
over.
actually
He just
do
didn't
anything.
set him up for.
I mean, I don't know who
easy
knows how he
thing.
trained him, but yeah, he did nothing wrong. The new person didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Who's ultimately at fault is the
Manager.
higher ups,
Yeah.
and they're the ones who ultimately pay. You know,
Exactly.
because the new hire, he has the job, like he's
Yeah.
doing the best he can.
Right.
He doesn't know some. Someone said an interesting comment. You think hiring a professional is expensive? Try hiring an amateur, and that's an interesting thing because the costs you'll have to pay for
to
things
get
not
them-
working out and not being able to do the job.
I can't wait. Dude, the day I get to throw that line in someone's face.
I know, right? Ooh,
That's gonna be
it's gonna be a good
spicy.
40-year-old moment for us.
And someone said the epitome of congratulations, you played yourself.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good malicious compliance right there.
Managers.
classic.
Managers, f*** 'em.
'em.
All right,
Love you, Rachel. Sorry.
next one. Am I the asshole for hiding my personal life at work?
Okay, Batman.
Okay, Batman. I'm in a little trouble at work because I've been sort of hiding my personal life. I've worked in this office for about 9 years, working my way up. I'm notoriously private and also believe in a clear separation of work and home life. With that, I never ever talk about home life. I'm not ashamed of my life, I just don't like to discuss it at work. My coworkers enjoy talking about their personal lives and often include me. If I'm asked any questions, I usually redirect or move on to someone else. In this manner, none of my coworkers knew I'm married, have twin daughters, and a very active personal life. Okay, for a second I thought he was Superman.
It's like, hey, Bill, sorry your wife died. Yeah, but what about Jerry's wife?
We hired Melinda last year, and she took it upon herself to become the office snoop. She spent several weeks...
Hey, I love her.
Yeah, she's iconic already.
He thinks you have twin daughters. There's a lot of baby stuff around here.
Man, it smells like wife in here. Do you know anything about that? She spent several weeks getting as close to everyone as possible. However, she does this to seek out potentially useful information she can hold over people's heads. Try as she did, I never gave her anything. My coworkers view me as...
She tortured him.
Tell us now!
How many kids?
Try as she did, I never gave her anything. My coworkers view me as a sort of enigma. Compartmentalization aside, I've made some great friendships at work. There are more things to talk about than my husband and my kids. They are a big part of my life, but I'm not even going to martyr myself and say they're the most important. They're hugely important and come before everything else, but I'm not a... But I'm not a sycophant, and I enjoy the 10 hours a day I'm at work when I get to be an adult and talk about things other than JoJo Siwa and the newest Kardashian exploit. Last week, Friday, Melinda came into work looking like the cat who got the goldfish. At lunch, she announced to everyone that I am married with 2 daughters, a dog, and a nice house. I play softball, I kayak, and occasionally mountain climb, and that I'm on Facebook. She couldn't see my posts, however, some of my photos are shared with others and therefore not private. I use a shortened version of my name, Ali from Alexandra, and my married name on Facebook, so I'm not sure how she found me, unless she used white pages and put 2 and 2 together. I've already reported her to HR. But the problem is my coworkers are acting like this is a big fucking deal. One of my friends said she's hurt that I don't trust any of them and hold them in such low regard. I tried to explain that it's nothing against anyone, I just don't like discussing home at work and vice versa. I never bring work home. When I'm home, that's time with my kids or my dog or my husband or friends and hobbies. Heck, I chose to live an hour outside of the city in a small town just to avoid work when I'm not there. I've apologized if any feelings were hurt, but my coworkers are now giving me the chill and won't talk to me unless it's directly about work. I honestly don't see the problem. I've never lied to them. I've never given them false information. I've never made up wild tales about my life. I'm still the same person I was. Now they just know more about me than they did. Wow, what the?
Feels like everyone's a little crazy.
That's
in this
a
one.
this is a
weird
weird
story.
one.
I do think this coworker's. I'm very curious how she announced all that information.
Like,
That's fucking weird.
Morning meeting.
So I've discovered some interesting things.
Yeah, that's
like,
insane.
she's a
dude.
weirdo.
That's
She's a
insane
weirdo.
behavior.
Yeah,
That's
that's a-
legitimately to announce like, oh, I found out like all this stuff about like.
Yeah, it clearly must become like a meme around the office of like, nobody knows anything about her, like, she doesn't talk about stuff, which then they're hurt that it's like she has a life. It's like, but the joke was that you're an enigma that you don't talk about your home life. I don't know, like, unless I was hanging out with her outside of work and we were friends outside of work, I wouldn't be offended.
Yeah, if someone didn't.
Right, it's like-
Like, I've worked with people over the years who like, we're great, we're coworkers, like we get along, but like, oh yeah, we just don't talk about.
Yeah, Brennan.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
like that guy.
Yeah, and we don't.
I'm
like
always
Brennan.
asking for his address. He's never telling me.
Yeah, what's your social security number, Brennan? Okay.
Nope.
Come on, man, dude. He's holding out on it.
Dude, what the f, Brennan? Yeah, I think I'm kind of like, sure, you can say like, oh, it's kind of unique behavior. That's kind of strange
Yeah.
that she has this really hard line, but that's her boundary, and she's at work, and she's there to do work. She's not
yeah.
obligated
It's
to
not
give this
obligated.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think like very obviously what the new coworker did is wrong. But like what's more interesting is like to me like what I am more interested in is like what would make a person so kind of protective of their
know.
and like we can speculate all, but like because it's not like I mean it is a real person, but it's like it's not someone we know. It's like a nebulous. Like I
A
wonder.
Redditor person.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's very fascinating to me, like that separation.
She's a very Ron Swanson type person.
yeah,
Exactly.
Like,
Well, she's not going to share anything.
I don't
now.
want to talk about my life here at
Yeah.
work.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Some comments here. Not the asshole. Melinda needs to mind her fucking business.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would complain to HR about her harassing you. Oh, I did, and they're looking into it. If she did it at home, there isn't much they can do. But if she did any of her snooping on company computer or time, she's going to be at least reprimanded, if not written up. The most they can do is move her to a new department or team for creating a hostile work environment. Someone else said, you're not the asshole, but you can't expect them to talk to you about anything else but work. Someone else responded, while I'm not as private as OP, I don't think I have to reveal my private life in order to talk about anything else but work. Examples. What the hell is going on with Roman on Succession? I'm so sick of pumpkin spice things. Look, a stupid cat video. Like, it's true. It's like there's other things other than work that you can talk about. Yeah, it's messy because like you'd think ideally at work the way that you move up and you do well at work is by doing your job and being focused on that. I understand that with networking and like knowing people and all this stuff, it's like it kind of requires you to bring like personal elements into your job, no matter what the job is.
Unless you're truly so good at your job that you can like transcend those.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so true.
If that doesn't, and that's such a rare thing to be so good at your job where you don't need to make like alliances, for lack of a better word, like, you know, like partnerships, friendships, to like, you know, to be well liked and like, you know, kind of understood.
It seems strange. I do think straight up not telling them that you're married, like is like, that's fascinating.
Or
I
having,
understand. I understand if it's just like, you know, they're good. Like my wife's good. Like my kids are good. Like I don't really, like nothing's going on. Like, but to be like, I'm not even going to share that information is extreme. It's certainly I've never met anyone.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone like that.
I like personally, I can't imagine having kids and not talking about them a lot.
Right.
Like it's like that's kind of your, you know, it's like when you leave work and not talking about work. Like to me, it's kind of hard to do because you know it's like, you know, 8+ hours of my.
That's straight up
most of your
severance.
day.
Yeah.
Like she is trying to do severance.
Yeah, that's so true.
She's trying to do that thing. There's an update. I don't have any sort of interesting update. HR brought us both in yesterday afternoon and asked us what the is going on. I presented.
I was like, you want me to post this on
I said,
Reddit?
"You want to post this on Reddit?" I said, I don't even eat breakfast, dude. I presented my side as detailed above. Melinda gave hers. She basically said that she had been trying to get to know everyone and she had been having trouble getting to know me, so she found my Facebook in an effort to find something to talk about with me, and then she just informed everyone else.
That's just weirdo behavior.
She's a weirdo. I'm sorry, Melinda's a weirdo. I asked my HR rep to pull up Facebook and to do a cursory search for my real name. There were several. Then I asked him to search for my married name, or the one I go by on Facebook, Allie Smith. There were enough for about 6 or 7 scrolls on the mouse pad. In any case, too many to count. I haven't touched my own page since I reported the incident. It was about 30 names from the top, but like I said, my profile pic is my dog, not me. So she would have had to look at each thumbnail photo or view each account. I do have an Instagram page that's on private, but I only have a few friends, mostly family members, under the same name. She found me the night before last and friended me. Naturally, I blocked her. HR gave her a reprimand for creating a negative work atmosphere. My rep wasn't sure why Melinda felt the need to blast my info for everyone, and he called BS on her for claiming it was innocent. So that's that. That's probably all that's going to come from it because my coworkers are now acting mostly back to normal. However, I took the advice from this sub and I'm making amends. They're all most receptive. I'm going to learn to open up, but not by much. But they know enough about me to know I'm not an automaton or anything. Okay, well that sounds fine.
Yay.
Yay? Yeah. Okay.
We solved it.
Melinda, you weirdo.
Yeah, what?
All right. Like if I did snooping like that, I'd be
embarrassed.
So I'd be like, I don't want anyone to know.
Right.
Yeah, but have I done that? Yes. Would I be embarrassed? And like, I would not tell other people.
No. Also, the CIA needs to hire Melinda.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's the next story. So you won't work because you want to know what happens on Game of Thrones? Fine. So this happened in 2019 when the infamous last season of Game of Thrones came out.
That was only 2019.
That was 2019.
It was like 8 years ago.
I know, well, it's been forgotten because it sucked. Back then, I was working a shitty customer service job, and because I was a student at the time, had to work late afternoon/night shifts. The company being permanently understaffed, there were usually 2 people on these types of shifts. In this case, yours truly and the person we will call Shitty McShit, who also worked mostly graveyard shifts. I can write an entire book of stories about Shitty McShit that would showcase the reasoning behind his name, but I'll save them for later. The bottom line is this dude barely ever showed up to work, and when he did show up, he would call his friends from the company phones to keep the line busy, or just spend all his time eating and watching movies. Besides refusing to work,
Pretty cool.
this guy was also incredibly rude and entitled. What I know is he came from money, but his parents made him work and he was not amused. He was 20-ish, if I remember correctly, but threw tantrums like a 3-year-old. Now, night shifts were usually quiet and both me and Shitty each minded our own business, but it wasn't the case that week. Some service was down somewhere and calls were flooding in, to the point where I barely had time to breathe between calls. At some point, I noticed Shitty's phone had been disconnected. He's logged off and opened HBO to watch Game of Thrones season premiere. While hundreds of calls and emails keep coming in, I go over to him and ask to please do his damn job. And his response is, geez, chill, it won't take long. I just really want to know what happens in this episode. I didn't have time to yell at this idiot, and even if I had, it would have been useless. What I did instead is I went back to my workstation and messaged him what happened throughout the course of the entire episode, scene by scene, on Slack and email with our team leader CC'd in. He slammed the keyboard and went back to taking calls. It made me feel better, but not good enough. I knew his university schedule wouldn't allow him to watch the episodes right as they came out, so every week I would religiously email and Slack him a message containing all the spoilers, titled, Game of Thrones summary. I hope this helps you concentrate at work. Was it petty and childish? Yes. Was it delicious and beautiful? Also yes. Do I regret it? No. I don't understand why he couldn't have just seen the emails and not read them.
Yeah, he probably just didn't read the emails.
He could have. So here's what OP could have done. The season finale leaked. Do you guys remember that? It leaked.
Oh yeah.
I want to say months before. People were like Daenerys
and
blah, blah, blah.
someone. I remember that happened, and someone detailed out the finale.
Yeah.
And people didn't believe it.
Because it sounded dumb.
Because it sounded so bad, and then that was the finale,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, wow, this is really dumb.
To a T.
Yes.
It was terrible.
I didn't watch
Oh,
Game of
dude.
Thrones.
It was.
I am a huge Game of Thrones fan.
Seasons 1, 2, and 3.
I would say 4 as well are awesome.
I don't remember
But then
4.
it starts to get pretty bad, and by the last season, it was just a dumpster fire compared to what it was before.
Right.
Had it started with the energy of season 8,
It'd be fine.
I would actually love that show.
Okay.
There's Netflix and fantasy shows that are the same caliber as Game of Thrones season 8 that I'm like, I love this show. It's super fun.
Right.
But it was such a downfall. But anyways,
Not the asshole.
what I don't get is this guy is Shitty McShit is stupid because he should have just lied.
Right.
Just lie.
yeah.
Dude, just lie.
It's not hard.
That's I think that's a big frustrating thing in my life. Is I get upset when people do bad things, right? Like when people lie or they're shitty or they do bad things. Mm-hmm. I get more mad when they are like stupid about it. I'm like, if you're gonna do a bad thing, if you're gonna lie, if you're gonna be shitty, do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Put in the effort.
Be better.
Build that lie universe out.
Be better at being a bad person.
Exactly.
Like,
How did he not get him fired that first time? Because dude,
Take a picture of him watching
well,
TV.
they're so understaffed that they probably can't afford to fire him. Or maybe, I don't know.
He's not doing anything
what was
anyways.
that?
Yeah,
What was
he's
that
literally
line?
useless.
Think of how expensive it is to hire
an amateur.
Yeah.
We got some comments here. This is why you shouldn't burn people who know how to hurt you.
Jesus.
Damn. Why would he read the spoilers if he didn't want to know what happened? I would just delete it. Someone else said, what was worse, you giving him spoilers or the actual final season of Game of Thrones? Yeah, it was pretty bad.
He's like, Bran?
So guys, as our final thing, this is completely different type of thing.
Okay.
Very different. This is not a work. I mean, this is a guy, he's doing a job.
Aren't we all?
So this is a story about a guy who's self-employed.
What's about to happen?
He's self-employed. I
Okay.
found this story right before we started filming this. I was on my phone and I came across this Reddit story and I was like, no way, we gotta read
No
this.
way.
No way.
It's just awesome.
Okay.
It's just an awesome story
I'm so ready.
about a job.
About a job.
Our unpopular opinion. Sucking your own dick doesn't feel good.
Wait. There's the tweet, or there's the thing. It's like, sucking your own dick doesn't feel like getting your dick sucked. It feels like sucking dick. and for some people, that's their thing. And
So a couple months ago,
oh, there's a story.
I found out that I was able to suck my own dick. And when I say suck my own dick, I don't mean simply licking the tip of my penis. I mean full-on deep-throating my entire cock.
Whoa, they're a pro.
When I first found out about this, I was so excited, and I immediately began sucking my knob. Though I realized it wasn't really pleasurable at all. It felt more like I was sucking someone else's dick than somebody sucking my dick. Don't get me wrong, there was some pleasure, but it was completely overshadowed by the feeling of having a penis in my mouth. I wasn't able to focus on the sensation of being sucked off since all the focus was on having an entire fucking dick in my mouth. It was a surreal experience to feel all my cock veins and stuff in my mouth. We'll probably cut some of this. It was a surreal experience to feel all my cock veins and stuff in my mouth, but it wasn't what I was looking for, you know? And no, it wasn't because my head game was trash. I actually became...
It sounds like it's because his head game was
Yeah,
trash.
I think his
I
head game's
actually
trash.
became pretty good at dick sucking because of my special ability. So yeah.
That's my secret, Captain.
So yeah, sucking your own dick is nowhere near as... I love this as a TED Talk. So yeah, sucking your own dick is nowhere near comparable to somebody else sucking you off. It just isn't as pleasurable as people make it out to be.
Who's making it out to... I've never heard anyone be like, dude, you gotta check this out.
Gotta check this out.
I think I'll just stick to jacking off instead.
Amen, brother.
So this...
yeah.
I guess this was posted a couple years ago, but I just saw it today. There's some comments. Imagine being this insecure with your sexuality. This feels good, but oh noes, I don't want to think of myself as gay. OP responded, I didn't feel good though. That's the point of the post. Don't get me wrong, there was some pleasure, but it was completely overshadowed by the feeling of having a penis in my mouth. It felt good, but oh noes, I can't get over how it threatens my tiny insecure masculinity. And then he responded, I just don't like the feeling of having dick in my mouth, okay?
Okay.
Okay? That's all he commented.
And he was gone.
That's
Then
all he
was like the
commented, then he
wind.
disappeared. I saw that title. I added it once I saw the title. I was just
Yeah.
like, that's
You have to.
awesome. I love that that's an unpopular opinion. Like, guys, unpopular opinion? Sucking your own dick?
I've never
Not so
seen
good.
anyone be like, you have to try this on the internet. And I've seen people argue for everything on the internet. Like, you gotta
Right.
do
Yeah.
this, you gotta do this.
But I've never seen
anyone be like, dude,
No.
you gotta get good
try
at this.
this.
You gotta do it. Well,
Yeah.
other people's jobs suck.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I don't know, we don't have people who snoop like that, and
Yeah.
I'm I don't know. There's
Yeah.
some messy situations here. Some jobs are very silly though, like people fart, and that's nice.
Yeah. It's like every workplace is gonna have drama because you spend like 2/3 of your life at work.
Yeah.
And so, and things happen, but it's like, I'm so glad that we're not that.
I
I'm so
know.
glad
I'm glad nobody eats 4 donuts. We all share the
we all
donuts
share- yeah,
equally.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
We work in a great place compared to all of this shit.
Compared to this, definitely.
Oh my God.
Well, thank you both for being here.
This is so fun, thank you.
Thanks for joining me. I know you have to get back to work now.
Was that a command?
Now get back to work. I'm literally not your boss in any sort of sense, but get back to work.
But guys.
But you should get back to work. No, really, thank you guys for being here, and thank you for watching. And as always, let us know what other subreddits or stories you want us to cover. We have a Reddit. You can post them there. You can reply to us on Twitter or in the comments below. Just give us ideas. Give us themes that you want us to cover. Anything, any sort of way of doing this. We're all ears. And next Saturday, I will be joined by Jacqi and Keith as we read a bunch of friend drama. And it gets messy. It gets weird. So we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.